In this video, we're going to go over 6 GED Science graphs. For the first one, we're given a scatter plot. What is a valid conclusion based on the scatter plot? Well, the first one, gorilla's height and arm spans are equivalent. But if that was true, we'd have a point right here, for instance, where a 6-foot arm span would match with a 6-foot height. And all the other ones would lie right on that line. However, that's not true. So that one's out. Okay, the next one, gorilla's heights are greater than their arm spans. To find if that's true, just find a point right here, go straight down, and go straight across. So this gorilla has an 8-foot arm span, but only a 6-foot height. In other words, its arm span is bigger, and that's going to be true for all of these points here. So C, that's our correct answer. Gorilla's arm spans are greater than their heights. And this is based on real data here, but most human beings would lie pretty much right on that line right there. However, only 9 NBA players in the last 23 years have negative wingspans. In other words, would be up in this area. And that's where your height is bigger than your arm span. And JJ Redick is one of those 9, just to throw him under the bus there. Okay, let's check out another one. When you're given 2 graphs, they usually want to know if they agree with each other. Why does this data support or refute the claim that high solar intensity thickens Earth's atmosphere? Well, here's solar intensity, here's the thickness of Earth's atmosphere. But they have a high point here, a low point, and a high point all in the same areas, so they definitely support each other. But even if there's a little difference, 1986 for the low point here, 1987 the low point here, they're still very strongly correlated. So the data supports this claim because the trends are strongly correlated, and that just means they do the same things in the same locations here. So that's what we're looking for. Okay, the next one. In what year did an event occur that increased the carrying capacity? Well, that's just where the graph levels off. And right here, the carrying capacity is 150 bison. But later on, it increases to this new carrying capacity. But the question is, in what year did an event occur that increased it? Well, the increase happened somewhere around here. So a good estimate would be around 1910. So that's all for that one. You may be asked to describe a graph. The peak wavelength of these 3 stars occurs in the visible part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Which statement describes the relationship between intensity and wavelength? Well, intensity is here, wavelength is here. So A, intensity increases as wavelength increases. Well, wavelength increases when you go to the right, and intensity does increase. However, it also decreases, so that's not the full story. So A is no good. Okay, the next one, intensity increases as wavelength increases and then levels off. Well, that one says intensity increases, but then if it levels off, it's just going to go straight across. So that one, not true. Okay, the third one, intensity increases independently of wavelength. Well, independent means that these two are not related to each other. But there's definitely a relationship happening. So C, that's out. But then finally, intensity increases as wavelength increases and then decreases. Well, essentially, intensity increases and it decreases. So that's got the full story, and that's what we're looking for here. Okay, and just one final type. Based on the graph, an accurate prediction of the Antarctic ice sheet at 42 months would be how many miles? Well, we know we're interested in the Antarctic, so just the blue graph. And then at 42 months, that'll be somewhere out here, so let's add that. But notice we just keep going up by 6 months each time. So adding 6 to 36, that'll get us to 42. So we just want to go one more section. We know it's going to go back down again. Let's draw that. And that's the point we're interested in. But to find the miles, just go straight across. So 375. And that's the correct answer for this one. So I hope you feel a lot more comfortable with these types of graphs. Here's a GED Science study guide for more practice problems. Let me know what questions you have, what else you want me to cover. You got these. We'll see you in the next video. Toodles.